The black void of space stretched endlessly in all directions, but today it was not empty. 10,000 alien warships floated in perfect formation, like a deadly metal forest. Each ship gleamed under the distant starlight, their hulls covered in weapons that could destroy entire planets. The largest vessels were the size of cities, while the smallest were still bigger than Earth's biggest buildings. Admiral Kraft stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking out at the massive fleet he commanded. His 4 yellow eyes glowed with pride as he watched the tactical displays. Never in the history of the galaxy had so many ships gathered for one purpose. The Veltar Confederation had spent 2 years building this armada. Now it was ready to crush the humans who dared to expand into their territory. "Sir, the final squadron has arrived," reported his second-in-command, a tall alien with blue skin and 6 arms. "All 10,000 ships are now in position at the edge of human space." Kraft nodded, his sharp teeth showing in what passed for a smile among his people. The humans had been spreading to new worlds for the past 50 years, building colonies and claiming systems that rightfully belonged to older, more powerful species. It was time to teach these young upstarts their place in the galactic order. "Hey, what do our spies tell us about human military strength?" Kraft asked as he walked to the center of his bridge. A smaller alien, with green tentacles instead of arms, stepped forward. "Our intelligence networks have studied them carefully, Admiral. The humans have primitive technology compared to us. They use simple metal bullets and basic energy shields. Their largest fleet has only 300 ships, and those are much smaller than our vessels." Another officer added, "They have no experience fighting against superior alien technology. Most of their wars have been against each other using outdated weapons. They will not be able to resist our advanced systems." Kraft felt satisfaction flowed through him. The Veltar had conquered 47 different species over the past 1,000 years. Each time it had been the same story. Young races would expand too quickly, think they were strong enough to challenge the established order, and then be crushed by superior firepower and experience. "Begin the intimidation protocol," Kraft ordered. "I want every human world to see our fleet. Let them count our ships and understand how hopeless their situation is." The communication officer activated the long-range transmitters. Across human space, every planet, every space station, every ship would receive the same message. The holographic displays would show the vast Veltar armada in all its terrifying glory. 10,000 ships ready to bring death and destruction. Hours passed as the fleet waited. Kraft expected the humans to respond quickly with surrender, terms, or perhaps desperate pleas for mercy. Instead, his communication officer looked confused as he received the first transmission from Earth. "Sir, we have received a response from the human homeworld," the officer said, his voice uncertain. "It is very short." "Read it?" Kraft commanded. The message says, "Captain Kim Tae-hein of the TDF. Resolute will meet your fleet at the designated coordinates." Silence filled the bridge. Every alien officer stared at their admiral, waiting for his reaction. Kraft read the message again on his personal display, certain he had misunderstood something. "That is all?" he asked. "No surrender offer? No request for negotiations? No desperate promises?" "That is the complete message, sir," the communication officer confirmed. Kraft felt anger rising in his chest. They are sending one ship, one single vessel against 10,000 of ours. His tactical officer pulled up human ship records on the main display. "Sir, according to our databases, the TDF Resolute is a frigate-class vessel. It has a crew of only 200 humans and basic armament. It is not even one of their larger ships." The bridge erupted in laughter. Several officers made jokes about human stupidity and their obvious death wish, but Kraft did not join in the laughter. Something felt wrong about this response. In his long military career, he had never encountered such a calm, almost dismissive reply to overwhelming force. "Perhaps they are bringing surrender documents," suggested one officer. "Or maybe this Captain Kim is planning to sacrifice himself dramatically to inspire his people. Or they are simply insane," added another, with a clicking sound that was alien laughter. Kraft studied the human message one more time. The tone was neither desperate nor defiant. It was businesslike, as if the humans were arranging a routine meeting rather than responding to the threat of total annihilation. This troubled him more than angry threats or begging would have. "Sir, shall we prepare to capture the human ship when it arrives?" asked his weapons officer. "We could take their captain prisoner and use him to force the others to surrender." Kraft nodded slowly. "Yes, but remain alert. Something about this feels unusual. My experience, when prey acts calmly in the face of certain death, it usually means they know something you do not." The alien fleet adjusted its formation, creating a perfect trap for the approaching human vessel. 10,000 ships against one. The outcome was certain, or so every alien on every bridge believed. None of them could imagine what was really coming their way through the darkness of space. The TDF Resolute moved through space like a small fish swimming toward a school of sharks. Captain Kim Tae-hein stood on his bridge, watching the alien fleet grow larger on the main screen. What had started as tiny dots of light were now clearly visible as massive warships, each one bristling with weapons that could level mountains. "Distance to the alien fleet?" Kim asked calmly. 200,000 kilometers in closing, sir," replied Commander Park Soo-jin from her station. She was a short woman with steady hands and nerves of steel. "They have us completely surrounded. Count over 3,000 different weapon signatures pointed at us." Lieutenant Han Minacio looked up from his communication console. "Are receiving constant scans from their ships. They are trying to figure out what kind of weapons we have and how dangerous we might be." Kim smiled slightly. "Let them scan all they wanted." The Resolute looked exactly like what it appeared to. Beyond the surface, a simple frigate with standard human technology. The hull was plain gray metal. The engines were basic fusion drives, and there were no visible weapon ports that would worry an advanced alien civilization. "What do their scans tell them about us?" Kim asked. Dr. Lee Yuna, the ship's science officer, checked her instruments. "You see a crew of 200 humans, basic life support systems, and what appears to be standard kinetic weapons. To them, we look like we are armed with nothing more dangerous than metal bullets and simple lasers." The bridge crew worked quietly at their stations. These men and women had trained for this moment for years, but none of them showed fear or excitement. They moved with the calm efficiency of people who knew exactly what they were doing. "Sir, the alien flagship is trying to contact us," Han reported. "Or put them on screen," Kim ordered. The main display flickered and showed the interior of an alien bridge. The creature standing in the center was tall and imposing, with 4 glowing yellow eyes and skin that looked like dark leather. This was clearly someone used to commanding respect and fear. "Human vessel," the alien said in perfect English, his voice deep and threatening. "I am Admiral Kraft of the Veltar Confederation. You are looking at the greatest military force ever assembled in this galaxy. 10,000 ships, each one capable of destroying your entire homeworld." Kim stepped forward, his hands clasped behind his back in a relaxed pose. "Admiral, I am Captain Kim Tae-on of the Terran Defense Force. Thank you for accepting our meeting request." Kraft's 4 eyes widened slightly. "Meeting request? You think this is a meeting? You have brought one small ship to face an armada that could crush your entire species. I am here to deliver humanity's official response to your ultimatum." Kim replied in the same calm tone he might use to order coffee. The alien admiral leaned forward. "Then transmit your surrender codes immediately. Agree to abandon all your colonies and submit to Veltar rule, and we might allow some of your people to live as slaves." Kim shook his head slowly. "I am afraid that will not be possible, Admiral. Humanity respectfully declines your offer." Silence filled both bridges. Every alien officer stared at the human captain as if he had just declared his intention to fly into the sun. Even Kim's own crew felt a moment of tension, though they had expected this response. "You decline?" Kraft's voice rose with disbelief. "Captain, are you unable to count? Do you see what surrounds you? Every one of my ships has more firepower than your entire fleet combined." "I see your ships, Admiral," Kim said peacefully. "Very impressive. However, humanity has decided that we will not abandon our colonies or submit to foreign rule. Our children were born on those worlds. They are our home now." Kraft began pacing on his bridge, his clawed feet clicking against the metal floor. "Captain, I have conquered 47 different species. I have destroyed entire civilizations that were far more advanced than yours. What makes you think one ship can stand against us? Kim looked directly into the alien's 4 eyes. Admiral, this is your final warning. Withdraw your fleet from human space immediately, or face the consequences of threatening our people and our families. The alien bridge erupted in what sounded like laughter, though it came out as clicking and buzzing sounds. Several of Krath's officers were clearly amused by the human's boldness in the face of impossible odds. Consequences? Krath repeated, his voice dripping with mockery. What consequences could you possibly threaten us with? Your tiny ship against our armada. Kim remained perfectly calm. The same consequences that await anyone who tries to harm our children, Admiral. We are peaceful people, but we will protect what we love. Enough of this madness, Kraft snarled. You have chosen death over wisdom. Weapons officer, disable their engines and prepare boarding parties. We will take this fool captain prisoner and use him to force the others to surrender. Admiral. Kim said quietly, you should have taken the warning. The transmission ended, leaving Kim alone with his crew on the bridge of the Resolute. Around them, 10,000 alien warships began moving into attack formation, their weapons charging, and their crews preparing for what they thought would be a quick and easy victory. Commander Park looked at her captain. To surround us completely? All enemy weapons are now active and targeting our ship. Kim nodded and walked to his command chair. Very well, Dr. Lee. Are all systems ready? All systems are green, sir, she replied with a small smile. Show them what humanity is really capable of. The alien fleet moved like a giant metal net closing around the single human ship. Admiral Kraft watched from his bridge as thousands of his vessels took their positions. The Resolute looked tiny and helpless in the center of the formation, like a mouse surrounded by elephants. All ships report ready to fire, his weapons officer announced. We have the human vessel completely trapped. It cannot escape. Kraft nodded with satisfaction. Disable their engines first. Want to capture their captain alive so he can watch his homeworld burn. But as the first alien ships prepared to fire, something strange began to happen. The space around the Resolute started to shimmer like heat waves rising from hot pavement. The human ship itself began to look blurry, as if someone was looking at it through water. Sir, our targeting systems are having difficulty locking onto the human vessel, reported the weapons officer, confusion clear in his voice. The readings keep changing. On the bridge of the Resolute, Captain Kim sat calmly in his command chair. Dr. Lee, begin Phase 1 of the defensive protocol. Dr. Lee Yunaz, fingers moved quickly across her control panel. Singularity manipulation. System coming online, sir? All gravitational field generators are responding normally. Commander Park studied her tactical display with growing excitement. Sir, the alien ships are moving into the exact positions we predicted. They are grouping their vessels close together to prevent us from escaping. Kim smiled slightly. Perfect. They have just made our job much easier. The aliens had no idea what they were seeing. The Resolute appeared to be multiplying with ghostly copies of the ship, appearing and disappearing around the original. Sometimes there seemed to be 3 ships, sometimes 5, sometimes just 1 again. The human vessel existed in several different states at the same time, phasing in and out of normal space. What is happening to that ship? Kraft demanded. Staring at his main screen, is this some kind of holographic trick? His science officer worked frantically at his instruments. Sir, I am detecting massive gravitational anomalies around the human vessel. The readings are impossible. It is as if they are bending space itself. That is impossible, Kraft snapped. No species has that kind of technology, and we cannot manipulate gravity on this scale. But the impossible was happening right before their eyes. Small points of absolute darkness began appearing throughout the alien formation. These were not just black spots. They were holes in space itself. Places where gravity had become so strong that light could not escape. The first alien ship to encounter one of these dark points was a heavy cruiser with a crew of 8. The micro-black hole appeared directly inside the ship's hull. In seconds, the massive vessel was crushed into a ball of metal no bigger than a car, its crew never even having time to scream. Sir, we just lost the battlecruiser Gethmer and officer reported, his voice shaking. It was compressed into a singularity. The entire ship and crew are gone. More dark points appeared throughout the formation. Some alien ships tried to run, but the black holes followed them like hunting animals. Others attempted to fire their weapons, but their energy beams were sucked into the gravitational wells and disappeared. On the Resolute, Lieutenant Han monitored the alien communications. "Sir, their fleet commanders are in complete panic. They're screaming about forces they cannot understand." Kim watched the tactical display as alien ships disappeared one by one. "Target the outer formations first. We want to leave the command. Shipped for last." Double quotes. Dr. Lee adjusted her controls. "Creating gravitational shears along the enemy flanks, sir. This should cut through their heavy armor like paper." Space itself became a weapon. Invisible blades of twisted gravity sliced through the largest alien dreadnoughts, cutting ships that were miles long into pieces. The metal holes offered no protection against forces that could bend reality itself. Admiral Rial. Kraft's command ship spun helplessly as it was caught in an artificial gravity well. His crew held onto their stations as the ship twisted and shook. Through the main screen, he watched his mighty armada being destroyed by things that should not exist. "Sir, we have lost contact with over 3,000 ships," his communication officer reported, terror in his voice. "They are not responding to any signals. Are they destroyed?" Kraft asked, though he already knew the answer. "Sir, they are. Simply gone. No wreckage, no debris, no life signs. It is as if they never existed." The slaughter continued with terrifying efficiency. Some alien vessels aged hundreds of years in just seconds, their metal hulls rusting and crumbling as time moved faster around them. Others were frozen in temporal fields, becoming statues in space with their crews trapped forever in a single moment. Kraft tried to understand what he was seeing, but his mind could not process it. His species had ruled space for 1,000 years. They had the most advanced technology in the galaxy. Yet here was a single human ship treating the basic laws of physics like toys. "How is this possible?" he whispered, watching another squadron of his best ships disappear into a swirling vortex of twisted space. What kind of monsters are these humans? The Resolute continued its impossible dance through the alien fleet, untouchable and unstoppable. Every few seconds, more alien ships vanished from existence, consumed by forces beyond imagination. The greatest armada in galactic history was being destroyed by a single vessel that made the impossible look easy. The destruction continued like a deadly dance across the stars. Captain Kim stood calmly on his bridge, watching the tactical display. As thousands of alien ships disappeared from existence, his voice remained steady and professional as he gave orders that were reshaping the very fabric of space around them. "Lieutenant Han, create temporal distortion fields around sectors 7 through 12, Kim instructed. "Dr. Lee, I want gravitational shears cutting through their main battle line." Dr. Lee's hands moved across her controls with the precision of a master pianist. "Temporal fields active, sir. Enemy vessels in those sectors are now experiencing accelerated time flow at a rate of 1,000 to 1. On his main screen, Kim watched as entire squadrons of alien warships began to age rapidly. Ships that had been built to last for centuries started falling apart in seconds. Their metal hulls turned to rust, their energy cores burned out, and their crews aged from young warriors to dust in the span of a heartbeat. Within moments, what had been a powerful fighting force became nothing but floating scrap metal. "Sir, gravitational shears are cutting through the alien dreadnoughts, Commander," Park reported with quiet satisfaction. "Their armor plating is offering no resistance to the distorted space fields." The largest alien ships, vessels the size of cities that had taken decades to build, were being sliced apart like bread. Invisible blades of twisted gravity cut through them, cleanly separating their massive hulls into pieces that drifted apart in the vacuum. There were no explosions, no fire, just the simple and terrible sight of enormous warships being divided into sections by forces that treated the strongest. Materials like soft clay, Admiral Kraft's command ship continued to spin helplessly in the artificial gravity well that held it prisoner. His bridge crew clung to their stations as the ship shook and twisted. Through the chaos, Kraft could see his fleet being methodically destroyed by weapons that violated everything he thought he knew about science. "Sir, we have lost 8,000 ships," his tactical officer reported, his voice breaking with fear. "Our entire left flank is gone. The center formations are being cut to pieces. The right wing is trapped in some kind of time field." Kraft stared at the tactical display, watching the icons of his ships disappear one by one. Each light that went out represented hundreds or thousands of his people. Crews he had commanded for years, warriors who had followed him across the galaxy. All of them were dying in ways that should have been impossible. "What are our weapons doing to them?" he demanded. "Sir, we cannot even hit the human ship," replied his weapons officer. "Keeps phasing in and out of normal space. Our targeting computers cannot lock onto something that exists in multiple dimensions at the same time." The Resolute moved through the alien fleet like a ghost, appearing and disappearing at will. Sometimes it seemed solid and real, other times it looked like a faint outline against the stars. Energy beams passed right through it without causing any damage. Missiles flew toward it, only to find empty space where the ship had been moments before. "Sir, emergency transmission from Battle Group 7, the communication officer announced. "They report that their ships are being pulled into black holes that appear inside their hulls. They are requesting immediate assistance." Kraft could only watch as more of his vessels were consumed by the micro-black holes that the human ship created at will. These were not weapons in any sense he understood. They were pieces of destroyed stars, points where gravity became so strong that matter was crushed out of existence. The humans were using the fundamental forces of the universe as tools of war. "How is this possible?" Kraft whispered. "How can they control such forces?" His science officer looked up from his instruments, his face pale with shock. "Sir, according to our readings, they are manipulating space-time itself. They can create artificial gravity wells, accelerate or slow down time in specific areas, and phase their ship in and out of normal reality. This technology is thousands of years beyond anything we have ever encountered." On the Resolute, Kim checked the status of the battle. "Dr. Lee, how many enemy vessels remain active?" "Approximately 1,000, sir," she replied. "Most of them are trapped in our gravity wells or temporal fields. They pose no threat to us." "Very good, begin the final phase. I want clean eliminations of all remaining ships, except the command vessel." The slaughter accelerated. The remaining alien ships found themselves caught in gravity fields that crushed them like tin cans, or frozen in time bubbles where they became permanent monuments to their own defeat. Some were aged into dust, others were torn apart by gravitational shears, and a few simply vanished as they were pushed into other dimensions. Kraft watched his tactical display go dark as the last of his ships disappeared. 10,000 vessels, the pride of the Veltar Confederation, had been reduced to nothing in less than an hour. His mighty armada, assembled over 2 years, in representing the combined military might of a dozen worlds, had been destroyed by a single human ship that treated the laws of physics like suggestions. "Sir, we are the only ship left," his tactical officer reported quietly. Kraft nodded slowly. He was alone in space with the human vessel that had just accomplished the impossible. Around him floated the debris of the greatest military disaster in galactic history, and he was the only witness left alive to tell the tale. The silence of space was complete now. Where 10,000 alien warships had floated in perfect formation just 1 hour ago, there was nothing but scattered debris and the occasional piece of twisted metal drifting slowly through the void. Only 2 ships remained in this corner of the galaxy, the human vessel Resolute and Admiral Kraft's command ship, spinning helplessly in an artificial gravity well. Kraft stood alone on his bridge. His crew had either died from the violent spinning of their ship or lost consciousness. From the extreme forces, he gripped his command chair with all 4 of his arms, fighting to stay upright as his vessel continued to rotate in the invisible prison that held it. The tactical display in front of him showed the impossible truth. 10,000 ships reduced to 0. The greatest military force in galactic history had been erased by a single human vessel in less than 60 minutes. His mind struggled to accept what his eyes had witnessed. Suddenly, the spinning stopped. The artificial gravity well released his ship, and Kraft found himself floating in normal space once again. His emergency systems activated, bringing his ship's basic functions back online. The bridge lights flickered on, and the main view screen activated by itself. The Resolute appeared directly in front of his command ship, so close he could see the details of its hull. The human vessel looked exactly as it had when it first arrived. A simple gray frigate with no visible damage from the battle. There were no scorch marks, no signs of the incredible forces it had unleashed. It looked as ordinary as a cargo hauler. The view screen showed the interior of the human bridge. Kim Tae-hyun stood calmly in the center, his hands clasped behind his back. Behind him, his crew worked quietly at their stations, as if they had just finished a routine patrol instead of the most one-sided battle and recorded. Historycraft tried to speak. He wanted to demand explanations, to threaten revenge, to make some sense of what had happened to his fleet. But when he opened his mouth, no sound came out. His vocal cords had simply stopped working. The shock of witnessing 10,000 ships destroyed by impossible weapons had left him unable to form words. "Admiral Kraft," Captain Kim said, his voice calm and respectful. "I see that you survived. That was intentional. We needed someone to carry our message back to your people." Kraft managed to make a small, croaking sound, but still could not speak properly. His 4 eyes stared at the human captain, trying to understand how this ordinary-looking man had commanded forces that could reshape reality itself. "I know. You have questions," Kim continued. "You are wondering how a single human ship could defeat your entire armada. You're thinking that what you witnessed should be impossible according to everything your science tells you." The alien admiral nodded weakly. His legs felt unsteady, and he had to lean against his command chair for support. "The answer is simple," Kim explained. "Humanity learned long ago that the universe has rules, but those rules can be bent by those who understand them deeply enough. We studied the fundamental forces that hold reality together: gravity, time, space itself. We learned to use them as tools." Dr. Lee looked up from her station. "Captain, all systems are cycling down to normal operational levels. The singularity drive is stable." "Thank you, Dr. Lee," Kim replied, then turned his attention back to the alien admiral. "Admiral, I want you to return to your Confederation. Tell them exactly what you saw here today. Tell them that humanity does not seek war or conquest. We only want to live peacefully and raise our children on the worlds we have made our homes." Kraft finally managed to make a sound, though it came out as barely more than a whisper. "How?" Kim understood the question. "How did we develop such technology?" "The same way any species advances, Admiral. Through curiosity, hard work, and the determination to protect what we love. When you threaten our families, our children, our future, you give us a very powerful reason to find solutions to impossible problems." Commander Park spoke from her station. "Sir, we are receiving distress signals from several Veltar survivors in escape pods. Should we assist them?" "Of course," Kim replied immediately. "Transmit their locations to Admiral Kraft's ship. They are no longer our enemies. They are people who need help." This simple act of mercy seemed to shock Kraft even more than the destruction of his fleet. The humans had just demonstrated the power to destroy entire civilizations. Yet their first thought was to help the survivors of their defeated enemy. Admiral Kim said, drawing the aliens' attention back to him. "When you report to your leaders, make sure they understand this. Humanity will defend itself and its people with whatever force is necessary. But we prefer peace. We would rather be your friends than your enemies." Kim paused, letting his words sink in. "The next time ships from your Confederation enter human space, we hope they will come as traders and diplomats, not as conquerors. However, if you choose to threaten us again, remember what happened here today. Next time, we will not leave survivors to carry warnings," Dr. Lee announced. "Captain, we are ready to phase shift back to normal space." "Take us home," Kim ordered. The Resolute shimmered once more and vanished, leaving Admiral Kraft alone among the debris of his once mighty armada. As he stared at the empty space where the human ship had been, he realized that everything his species believed about power, technology, and their place in the galaxy had changed forever. The humans had not just won a battle, they had rewritten the rules of warfare itself.